Good morning. Welcome to Plugged In, another story involving Daniel and King Nebuchadnezzar right after this. Well, we welcome you back to Plugged In on this Monday morning in April. A little brisk this morning, but I think it's supposed to be up in the 60s later. It's a beautiful sunny day. We're going to be in Daniel chapter 2. We'll get there in just a few moments. And we're not going to have anything on the screen. It's going to be what I would call Bible reading moment. So I'm going to read a long passage in connection to our story today, which will be kind of a continuing story in the next week or so. But to get us started, I want to share another little insight for you. There was this ship that was sinking, and on board that ship were the captain and 3 sailors. So as the ship is sinking, the captain speaks up. He said this: "Men, this business about a captain going down with the ship is nonsense. There's a 3-man lifeboat on board, and I'm going to be on it. To see who's going to come with me, I will ask each one a question, and the one who cannot answer will stay behind. Here's the first question. What unsinkable ship went down when it hit an iceberg?" Well, the first sailor answered, "The Titanic, sir." On to the next question, he said. "How many people perished?" The second sailor said, 1,517, sir." Now for the third question. And the captain turned to the sailor number 3. What were their names? Some light-hearted humor to get us started this morning, and I feel really sorry for that third guy. The captain must have not liked him very well, but he was asking him an impossible question. The task was way beyond what he could do. And that sets up our story for this morning. I'm going to read for you Daniel chapter 2, 1 through 16. When we get done, just a short little commentary thought for the day. But let's see if you can pick out the impossibility that King Nebuchadnezzar puts on his astrologers and magicians. Here's how the story plays out. In the 2nd year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. His mind was troubled and he could not sleep. So the king summoned the magicians, the enchanters, sorcerers, and astrologers to tell him what he had dreamed. When they came in and stood before the king, he said to them, "I have had a dream that troubles me, and I want to know what it means." Then the astrologers answered the king, "May the king live forever. Tell your servants the dream, and we will interpret it." The king replied to the astrologers, "This is what I have firmly decided. If you do not tell me what my dream was and interpret it, I will have you cut into pieces and your houses turned into piles of rubble. But if you tell me the dream and explain it, you will receive from me gifts and rewards and great honor. So tell me the dream and interpret it for me." Once more they replied, "Let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will interpret it." Then the king answered, "I am certain that you are trying to gain time because you realize that this is what I have firmly decided. If you do not tell me the dream, there is only one penalty for you. You have conspired to tell me misleading and wicked things, hoping the situation will change. So then, tell me the dream, and I will know that you can interpret it for me." The astrologers answered the king, "There is no one on earth who can do what the king asks. No king, however great and mighty, has ever asked such a thing of any magician or enchanter or astrologer. What the king asks is too difficult. No one can reveal it to the king except the gods, and they do not live among humans." This made the king so angry and furious that he ordered the execution of all the wise men of Babylon. So the decree was issued to put the wise men to death, and men were sent to look for Daniel and his friends to put them to death. When Arioch, the commander of the king's guard, had gone out to put to death the wise men of Babylon, Daniel spoke to him with wisdom and tact. He asked the king's officer, "Why did the king issue such a harsh decree?" Arioch then explained Arioch then explained the matter to Daniel. At this, Daniel went to the king and asked for time so that he might interpret the dream for him. Then Daniel returned to his house and explained the matter to his friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. He urged them to plead for mercy from the God of heaven concerning this mystery, so that he and his friends might not be executed with the wise men or with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar must have been a very troubled man with a troubled mind. I mean, what kind of person really would ask such a task of what he was putting before his magicians and astrologers? Dreams were considered to be messages from the gods, and the wise men were expected to interpret them. But what the king was asking was impossible, and his staff tried to convince him that there was no one on earth who could do what he was asking. Had King Nebuchadnezzar lost his mind? Or was he on some power play? Whatever his motive was for such a task, he became so angry that he ordered a death sentence for all the wise men in Babylon, and that included Daniel and his 3 friends, who were totally innocent of the initial challenge. But Daniel was not going to be deterred. He's already messed one time with Nebuchadnezzar, and he has stood his ground, and so he goes to him asking for some time. While there was no man who could give to the king such an answer, Daniel did know that his God could reveal the mystery. So with great urgency, Daniel and his friends prayed. And next week, we're going to pick up the story there in the middle of chapter 2. If you want to read on ahead, you can, and we're going to have some lessons from that. You know what? There will be a lot of things that you and I face that just seem impossible to overcome. But we serve a God who is very good at dealing with the impossible and making it possible. Whether it is a reconciliation in a marriage, it might be a reconciliation with parents or children. Maybe it is receiving the strength to give forgiveness or ask for forgiveness. The strength to say, I'm sorry to someone that we've hurt. There's a lot of impossible things that stand before us. But I want to share this with you. Nothing is impossible with the help of God. Daniel knew that, and I want to encourage you to always lean on God that way. Thank you again for joining us this week on Plugged In. We'll see you next Monday. Another story from the book of Daniel. Have a wonderful week.